nice quiet night. The past couple of weeks, I've been asked a couple times about how to have a regular meditation practice. Seems to be a common concern. How do you keep your meditation going when you're not in a group? Or even when you are in a group? How do you maintain a steady practice when you don't feel like it? Maybe it doesn't matter, but you're here, so we might as well talk about it. And you can do with it what you want. But most people come here because they feel that it's something worthwhile doing. And not just when you come once a week. I mean, that's, I guess, better than nothing. But it's hard to have a steady and settled meditation if it is once a week. So coming here sort of presupposes that you're doing some meditation in between the meetings. And if you're not, then it probably is something that you think sometimes you want to do. But for whatever reason you don't. Well, that's what I want to address, is for something like meditation that often many of us feel like we'd like to do more of, how can we? How could that become real for us? And how to cultivate that type of practice that is not something that we feel is being imposed, or I'm doing because I feel like I should. And not even I'm doing because I want, but I'm just doing it because I do it. To get to the point where sometimes we're doing meditation not for the sake of anything else. We're doing meditation for the sake of doing meditation. What a crazy idea. It's not for the sake of becoming more relaxed, because sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. Or for having greater clarity, compassion, kindness throughout my day, every day, because sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. And if it doesn't, is that a reason to not meditate? And how often do you look at your practice and sometimes wonder, what's happening? You know, nothing's happening. Maybe I should stop for a while. Or, you know, what am I doing wrong? Or what am I doing right? And all these questions sometimes erode or weaken just the daily practice. Because we have a very subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, attachment to results. I want something to happen. And I'll give it a bit more time for something to happen. But what happens when nothing happens? And it's the practice of nothing happening. Can we have a steady practice of nothing happening? You know, meditation is a non-activity. So much of our life is aimed at achieving results. You know, from early school, you know, onward, we're wanting to achieve. And so we're trained and conditioned to do things for the sake of something else, for getting a result. That's just normal, you know? That's a type of worldly karma, let's put it. Worldly karma is, you know, you involve yourself in activities because it will produce something. Even going on a vacation is for a sense of producing some, I don't know, what they call R&R, rest and recreation. Yeah. I mean, nobody goes on a vacation with the expectation that it's not going to do anything. I mean, why go? You know? So every activity has this type of cause and effect relationship, or worldly karma, an expectation for a result. You want to get something out of it. Even relationships, you know, there's this type of conditioning, conditioned relationships. And then along comes meditation, and you know, there are these ideas of wanting to meditate to somehow realize Buddha nature and enlightenment. Okay, what do you do when that doesn't happen? Does that mean it's not working because I'm not achieving the goal? Well, what if we forget all about that? And it's just about present moment. If there's no past and future in meditation, then what is there to achieve? And what is there to get rid of from the past? So if we connect very deeply with the full, ultimate, present, and what is there? You know, what achievement is there? Because achievement is always the future, right? So how do I compare meditation to other activities? Well, we can't really. This is what I'm trying to get at, is that if you do commit to a practice, at some point you're going to have to say, I'm going to have to let go of some of my expectations, because it's really not good for anything. The expectations and the practice. Because if it's good for something, then it's a means for another end, but it's not an end in itself. And to really be present means the present is enough, that the present is an end in itself. Can we look at that? Can we train the mind to just fully accept that this is it? You know, this is it. This is what I was looking for. This is the result. This is the achievement. Well, that goes against so much of our conditioning and mental training. But that's exactly what meditation looks at, is how you keep coming back to that sense of, you know, I want more. I want something else, which the Buddha clearly taught is the source of dissatisfaction, meaning suffering, dukkha. Is that sense of, you know, leaving my present because my imagined future will be better. Now, in meditation, we bring that dukkha and we give it a spiritual coding. You know, we give it a meditation meaning, that my meditation will get better, or my meditation will make me better. It's the same, you know, longing, it's the same desire as anything else, as a child wanting an ice cream, or as, you know, an adult wanting some sort of addiction. It's the same longing. It's a desire for a happy ending, but not a happy present. So we can bring that into meditation very easily. You know, Shogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, he called it spiritual materialism. If you take the sort of same materialistic longing and desire for things, and you just apply it to your meditation. You say, so instead of like a thing making me happy, like all the ads that you see when you come in the city, I mean, those are all just dukkha. It's just saying, it's playing on our longing of our saying, you know, your present is fine, but it could be better. It'll be better if you have this, right? I mean, it's not saying you're living a terrible life. It's saying, it's giving you the promise of even better, you know. Like that washing machine ad, I see this LG. And I never knew LG, I thought it was just like the name of something, but then they put it into life is good. Like, but, okay, life is good, but what's implied is that, and it'll be even better if you get this washing machine. You know? Like, it's giving you a pat on the back saying, your life is good. Better. You know? And so, it's like it's not so subtle, but it's effective. Okay? Because it's not putting you down. It's saying, yeah, I mean, keep going on that same train of thought. You know, that same train of thought, just keep going. And there always will be more, okay? And that's what keeps the marketplace going, is there's always more and new. You know, what I like with ads and products is that they don't even bother. In the past, when I was growing up, the ads would always say new and improved. And at some point, they stopped even bothering with the improved. They just kept putting on new. And so now it's just new. Like, there's no pretense that it's better. It's just new is enough. Like, that's good enough. So we'll promise you just new to keep the dukkha, keep the desire going, right? That your present is good, but it can be better. Now, the future never arrives then. That's the problem. The future we never get there. Okay, so dukkha becomes, you know, sort of a status quo, right? It becomes our normal state of being, of thinking, okay, there's always something better, just a little bit ahead. When the next model comes out, I'm not going to buy my phone now. I need a new phone, but I'm just going to wait for the next one to come out, right? I mean, it's so ingrained, okay? Now, what does that mean for meditation now? That just means, you know, meditation is good, but I'm doing it because the teachings promise it'll get better. Okay? At some point it'll get better. If I work hard enough, it'll get better. Right? With that conditioned thought, which is basically just the materialistic thought applied to your meditation. I'm not laying any blame here, I'm just saying that's what we do. I mean, that's what we do. Because noticing the habit takes a lot of effort. Okay? And the right effort is in not judging it. Just saying, there's that conditioning again. You know, I always want more from my meditation. You know, and sort of sitting here and feeling like it's going nowhere. Okay? That feeling like it's going nowhere is not because it's going nowhere. It's going somewhere very special. Right here. How can here be nowhere? You know, have we explored what here really means? Even if the here is feeling bummed and feeling bored and feeling, you know, do we look deeply at it, or we just say, like, it's not working, you're not working? Even if the here is, you know, pain somewhere, is that not working? Is that, you know, failure? What is that here for? What is that revealing about me and my life? About life in general? You know, am I looking deeply at this opportunity? Or do I have some sort of fantasy of what good meditation is? An idea that it's sort of blissful and calm and happy, pain-free, you know, just kind of, I don't know what. But, you know, we all have these dreams, okay? And maybe you've had moments where there's been deep concentration and bliss. And then that sets up a sort of a model for you. A comparison that everything else falls short of. But that was like a small moment during a long retreat. And then the rest of your meditation is like struggle. But wasn't that part of that experience? You take the difficulty away. I mean, how could you have, you know, that enjoyment? I mean, it's kind of like eating a bowl of rice that is freshly cooked. Well, if you take the muddy rice paddy away, and the people planting the saplings, and the insects biting at their ankles, and, you know, all of it away, and the hot, humid weather, and all of that, could you have that bowl of rice? I mean, could you have that bowl of rice without all of the, you know, work? And then isn't, you know, where do I separate that bowl from the insects biting at the ankles? I mean, and the humidity in the air of that rice paddy, where do I separate it? You know? Is that just a means to an end for this bowl of rice? And then if the bowl of rice then gives me energy to sit and then do other things, where does the bowl of rice end? Did it end with the bowl of rice? Does it continue in my life? So where do I see the beginning and the end of all of this? You know, is the end just that blissful moment of calm and peaceful concentration? Or within that blissful moment, was there all the difficulty? And then did that bliss lead to everything else? So, as we see, when we get into a means and an end relationship, there's no beginning and no end to it. Our job is to focus on this moment now and to really explore and discover what it means to be alive now. Because there is no other time. Yeah, there's no other time. Truly. So what I wanted to bring up a little bit, and if anyone has a common question, just interrupt. It's not an interruption, it's part of this. Is some practical suggestions for having a stable meditation practice. Meditation is asking us two main questions. Who are you and why are you? It's the who and the why. Okay? What are you doing? You know, you're sitting. But who you are and why. Why are you doing this practice? Okay? And that's part of what I was just discussing, is that sense of if we do have a type of goal in mind and it's not met, then our practice will feel discouraged. Okay? So the why, what is really important here with these questions of meditation is not the answer. It's the question. And so what we want to keep alive in our practice is the urgency of those questions. Who the heck am I? And why am I doing what I'm doing? You know, am I really who I think I am, who I'm defining myself as, and who others are defining me as? Is that really me? You know, whatever happened to impermanence and change? Who is this self that I feel is continuing so strongly, and so, you know, that this sense of self is so stable, even though my meditation practice is not? But why am I investing so much in having this stable identity and I just can't sit every day? What is that about? Why don't I stabilize the practice and let the self do its own thing? What's with our priorities? So who is simply something we bring to our pillow, our cushion, and you know, all the ideas we may come up with. I can meditate, I can't meditate. I'm enlightened, I'm not enlightened. I'm screwed up, or I'm stable, or I'm disturbed, or my mind's all over the place. Huh? Okay. Keep asking, who? That's me? Really? Really? You know, as Suzuki Roshi says, that may be so, but not necessarily so. Mm-hmm. Okay? It's not necessarily so. Right? Maybe right now, but in 5 minutes, is that really you? The thoughts you're having now, are they really you? The thoughts you're having 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, you can't even remember them, but they seem so important. You know? They seem so vital, they seem so personal or disturbing. Where are they now? So that's the who. When who takes into consideration impermanence and change, who is a little hard to answer. Why, however, we can come back to again and again. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Is it helpful? Is it harmful? Is it compassionate? Is it selfish? Why am I doing it? Is it for my sake alone? For this crazy identity that I'm investing so much in? Or is it a bodhisattva action that's trying to enlarge my motivation and my intentions? You know? So the why then can help us. When you don't feel like sitting, who doesn't feel like sitting? Who? Who doesn't feel like sitting? And when you think that it's not doing anything, for whom is it not doing anything? If it's just for you, okay, so maybe it's doing nothing for you. But are you the only reason that you're doing meditation? And if you take you out of the picture a little bit, meaning out of the center of the picture, not completely. Then you sit. And you sit for the sake of all beings. And it doesn't really matter whether you believe that or not, because it's not just about you. Can you sit and your sitting is not just about you and how well you sit or what's going on in your mind? Can your sitting be part of connecting to this whole planet Earth and all beings that are in it? And by stopping all of our own self-centered activity, we stop and we let everyone be with us, and we're with them. And we're not just, driving in our own lives. Can sitting be a way of including everything and everyone? And it doesn't matter that that's in your mind, because that's just your mind. If sitting is not about what's going on in your mind, then you sit with all others. It's not about you only. So, bring back the who and the why into your meditation, those questions, without requiring an answer. And that will revitalize and bring a little bit of the edge back into your practice. That edge, to keep it a little bit sharp and not dull. The sharpness comes from that motivation. And the motivation comes from taking those questions seriously. So that's one suggestion. Ask that question as frequently as possible. Is this really me? Why am I doing this? Don't jump to an answer. Please.
You said that meditation is not an activity, right? Because we do a lot of activities in our daily lives, and meditation is just not that. But often, it seems like the hardest activity ever. I mean, mentally, just to focus or concentrate. It's not non-activity. You have to do something, right? It takes effort, and I mean, if I'm concentrated, sometimes afterwards I feel like I'm tired, just because of that effort. So,
yeah. When I said it's a non-activity, I meant in relationship if it's compared to normal worldly activities.
yeah.
In terms of worldly activities that are a means to an end, that I'm trying to produce something, that I'm doing it, and that it's not just in itself, it's not self-contained. Meditation is self-contained in the sense that we don't need it to prove anything outside of the sitting itself. It doesn't need to lead to anything else. So in that sense, it's a non-activity only compared to other activities. But in itself, it's the of meditation. Dogen, when he described what meditation was, he said it was thinking, non-thinking, right? Because we're using worldly terms, we're using language that gets us stuck. So yeah, I mean, it's not thinking, but what's the mind doing? So it's thinking, non-thinking. He used that contradiction in order just to try to say, okay, if you have to use these terms, then okay, that's how I'll describe it. So when I say non-activity, it's because I'm forced to, compare it to other activities.
Yeah.
But yeah, in itself, meditation is a meditation activity. You are actually choosing to. Someone can say, "What are you doing?" And you say, "Well, next half hour, I'm gonna do meditation." And then you can actually tell them what it is you do when you sit here. Otherwise you would only be able to say, "I don't know," or doing nothing. And that's what my teenage son says. What are you doing? Nothing. What do you mean nothing? Nothing. And that's just because he doesn't want to tell me. But we can tell. We're focusing, we're breathing, we're being still. We're making choices. We are making choices what to do with our mind. So yeah, in that sense, it is activity. These are where we get caught with conventional terms, and we just have to use them, with a bit of care, I guess. So, yeah, it's an activity, but a different one.
Also, I want to Just a comment. So on the other end of the spectrum, let's say we had all the time in the world and we didn't have to worry about making a living, etc. Would we choose to meditate the whole day? I'm just thinking loudly. That's something that you support. Encourage.
Well, it'd be kind of interesting to ask some monks that question, because in traditional societies, monks are given their food and shelter, don't have to worry about a living,
Yes.
don't have to worry about family, have all the time in the world.
But it's also from the orientation of like achieving something. Do monks try to achieve something? I don't know.
Maybe some do. Maybe some don't. I'm not sure. We'll have to ask the monks. I think one's coming here in a month. We can ask him. But
There's a channel like that.
what's that?
There's a YouTube channel, Ask a Monk.
Ask a monk. Yeah. Also, it's like ask a rabbi. I mean, it depends which monk you ask. I'm sure you'll get a lot of different answers. According to different traditions of different
They're
monks.
very busy in monasteries.
Yeah.
Don't they have schedules and work?
Yeah, they tend to keep, well, it depends again which monastery. In a Zen monastery, you're always doing lots of stuff because they know that if you're not, your mind is going to do lots of stuff. So it's better to keep your body busy. So yeah, I mean, look, generally when we have time, we tend to use it in ways that are self-serving. Right. So the structure of a monastery is in order to break some of the habits of the self-centeredness. That's what it's about. Yeah. Yeah. But that's a good idea to do. I don't know if anyone here has done a self-retreat where you don't have a, an outside schedule. You have to make up your own day. It's an interesting challenge. If you're doing it, you're by yourself and you have to set up your own you take a day and or longer if you choose, and keep your own retreat. Can you set up a schedule, keep the hours, see how it's going. Nobody's checking on you. You can just stay online, or you can keep a schedule. Yeah, try it.
Because like if being in present moment for let's say half an hour a day is good, then probably being 5 hours a day is better.
But not that meditation is not necessarily the only way to be present. That's what I'm recommending. Is these activities, the activities in a monastery especially, are not because it's all needed. Believe me, they don't need to wash the floors every day. I mean, it's not like that. I mean, a lot of the activities are there not because they're necessary, but because they're ways of, doing something now. They're ways of keeping present. Okay, and generally, until we have a certain fully realized consciousness, our mind is going to need external activity to focus it. These are foci for keeping us present. In the same way the breath is in meditation, sweeping the floor is, even when it's not dirty. Okay, you're sweeping it just to sweep, to engage with that activity. And that's another suggestion I wanted to make about having a steady meditation practice, is diversify, vary your mindful activities. Meditation is one mindful activity, okay? One present mind, one way of engaging with the present. It's very effective because it's the practice of no escape. It's like you and your mind and body, okay? But you can't, there are a lot of activities that we can include during the day that are not going to seem any different to someone else. But for us, we are defining it and choosing it as a meditation practice, as part of our meditation practice. So the more activities you include, then the more stable and steady your general practice is, and the more likely you will just get on your cushion. Okay, so apart from sitting meditation, I mean, walking meditation, everybody walks, yeah? And it doesn't have to be so super slow, but it can be like a defined time. Let's say you go to the car in the morning. If you drive to work or school, from the time you open the door to the time you open the door, that is walking meditation. Okay? You know, from the house door to the car door, or from the car door to the work or school door. That can be one. Or from the house door to the bus stop door. That can be a walking meditation. And from the bus to the school or the work. You know, that can be your walking meditation session, and it can happen 2 times a day, 4 times a day, whatever. But it takes defining it. And what I'm saying is that your schedule, you make a schedule. It doesn't have to be on the wall, but sort of an internal schedule saying, you know, this is part of my practice. I'm going to take this. I'm not just going to be checking my, you know, emails or Facebook on the bus. But hey, meditation in transit. Meditation in transit. Oh, I didn't get to sit because I didn't wake up early enough. Wait a second, you got a nice long bus ride now. Okay, or car ride, or whatever it is. Transportation, public transportation. You know, if I didn't have meditation, I would be suffering. 2 hours Tel-Aviv. Okay? Right? I mean, I would just feel like, come on. But instead, I have extra time to sit. Now, Thich Nhat Hanh also taught about red lights, the practice of red lights, traffic lights. Okay, traffic lights turning red. Every time you have 1 minute or 30-second or 2-minute retreat time. You have meditation time, you have meditation period. Okay? What that will do, that point of view, and it's simply a choice you make, is that instead of having that, and people are always looking at their phones and then it turns green and they don't move. Right? They're not moving because they're meditating. They're not moving because they're looking at their phones. And yes, it is irritating, okay? Because it's just a culture of distraction. You know, that's what's irritating, is that it's giving us license. It's giving people license to just be even more distracted, right? So instead, we actually start looking forward to red lights.
Sure.
Yeah.
These people give you even extra time.
They give you extra, like, keep reading your email. Go ahead, I'm sure there's Facebook posts you didn't read long. Come on, go for it. But it's the taxi driver behind me that, you know, starts to hurt my hearing.
This
So,
is where you practice metta. Taxi driving.
Yeah, for myself. So this is where we start to find that choice we are offered is, do I approach things as obstacles or opportunities? And if there are obstacles, I will find many. If there are opportunities, I will find more. Okay? And that just changes. It eases my life. And not only, like, I'm not making it up, I'm not creating a fantasy world. I'm actually dealing with the conditions that exist and choosing to use them for my own good. Okay? Because the alternative is constant annoyance, right? And that's the city life. Not only city life, I mean, go live in the country and it's constant annoyance too, just different annoyances. Or you switch your mind and you find opportunities. Right? That is not inherent in the conditions. That is a choice that we make about how I use my conditions and not be used by them. And that is the perspective of having a steady practice, is looking for the opportunities wherever I can find them. And then I'm like looking for more and more, and I'll find many. Okay? I'll find many. So, transportation, lineups. What's
Gardening.
that? Gardening.
Your plants.
Yeah.
Waking up in the morning.
Water, taking care of stuff. I'm talking about, I mean, right now, at first I was talking about things that we initially see as negatives, right? But then we can, those are simply conditioned reactions to them, like traffic, red lights, lineups, waiting in line, shopping, all these things. People in a rush, annoying people, shouting people, all this stuff. We can look around and say, well, wait a second, I mean, this is not directed at me. Okay, this is not directed at me. And even if it were directed at me, who is it that they're directing it at? Really, who is it they're directing it at? All right? So, we can see lots of opportunity for awareness, mindfulness, patience, generosity, and metta, kindness and compassion. It doesn't have to be forced. Right now, just deal with the red lights. But the other thing we can do, so finding opportunities throughout the day, in walking, in sitting, okay, in waiting, standing in line, yeah. The other thing that was mentioned here is when you get up in the morning, how do we start the day? How do we end the day? Okay? You can go through your whole day and it can just feel like a whole mess and you missed it. But you know what? Before you go to sleep,
Check your email.
yes. Before you go to sleep, check it. Yeah.
Sorry.
Maybe I missed my email. I always miss emails. Problem is I check it and miss it. It's like a double negative. Double negative doesn't make a positive. That's the problem. It's just two negatives. I actually got a phone call from work saying, "Haven't you been looking at your emails?" No. So, but how we begin the day and how we end the day. When you wake up, do we just get up? How do we get up? What's our first thought? Tomorrow morning, here's homework. What's your first thought? What's your first thought? Very first thought you have. Yeah. Just notice. Just notice it. You don't have to change it. The first thing is just to notice it. And maybe stay in bed until you create the thought, or you generate or you cultivate the thought or the intention that you would like to have. Not just the one you had, but the one you would like to have. And when we go to sleep at night, and we can bring in some conscious breathing, we can review, and we can just gaze over the day and ask, okay, what opportunities did I, what practice did I bring in to my day? What practice did I bring in? What awareness did I bring in? And it's not about regretting the missed opportunities, but it's about appreciating that the day does afford us opportunity. So those are opportunities, the beginning and the end, because we're in bed anyway. So you might as well take a couple seconds just to open. Something else that can help people that I've done at different times, and I know some people do it during retreats, is, I don't know if anyone keeps a diary or a journal on a daily basis, but some people find it helpful to keep a meditation journal or a meditation diary. That when you do meditate, you spend a couple minutes afterwards, or at the end of the day or later on at some point, to write a few lines about how it was, what your experience was. Even if it's like, just distracted and nothing happened, kind of disappointed, tired. Yeah. But it's just marking that you did something. It's just investing a little more in it. That's what it is. Just investing a tiny bit more in your meditation practice, making it a little more, stand out for you. Increasing its importance and relevance in your life. Okay, that's what a meditation journal can do. Of course, joining a group. is important. So whether this group or another group, but getting the support of Sangha and community is vital. It's one of the three refuges. I mean, the triple gem, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Finding the connecting to a tradition that works for you. You know, connecting, and it doesn't only have to be one tradition. In Buddhism, there are a lot of different traditions, and in other religions, there are other traditions of meditation and spirituality. So, coming from the West, we have access to a lot of different things, and it doesn't mean just being a butterfly and, you know, testing out a lot of different things, right? It's going deep. But if you find that, you know, some of these teachings don't really speak to you, although the meditation perhaps does, then explore. Find teachings that do speak to you, because it's important to investigate teachings and to learn the wisdom that's been passed down to us. Okay.
What's actually the difference between awareness and consciousness? This is
Yeah.
like
Well,
question.
awareness, I mean, it depends how we're talking. Usually the difference is talked about in terms of awareness is more active. Okay? So awareness is something that we are, you know, directing and using and opening to. Right? And conscious is kind of like sentience. It's more like the state of being, the state of being alive in a conscious way. So not necessarily aware. Like for instance, you know, consciousness, we can say that all sentient life has consciousness. But they don't necessarily, not all sentient beings have developed awareness. So awareness is something that we tend to, you know, open to and develop and let go of certain distractions so that we can naturally be aware without interference.
So meditation works on awareness.
Meditation works on awareness. Yeah, meditation works on awareness. Right. And it works on awareness very much by not so much forcing awareness, but by dealing with a lot of the distractions that obscure the natural awareness that we have. You see, the trust is that the mind naturally and the consciousness has a natural, clear awareness. Okay, that the to be a sentient being and to have this consciousness in the human form is to have a clear light of awareness. Now, why are we not aware of that most of the time? Because of a lot of the obstacles that are in the way. Okay, and those obstacles have to do with our attachments and distractions and selfishness and self-centeredness and ideas and things like that, all the conditioning that we go through, right? So meditation is very much about letting that conditioning settle so that, you know, the nature of the mind can be revealed. So at least in Zen, the Mahayana Buddhism, the idea is that you're not creating something, you're not cultivating awareness, you're more just letting it show itself. You're letting it be naturally. So that's why a lot of the teaching of meditation is about that acceptance. You know, you can just let go of the struggle. When you let go of the struggle, then what you're struggling against, like that need and everything, just kind of settles. The struggle gives it more strength and energy. Right? Just like, okay, let things be. Even the disturbing thoughts. You know what? No big deal. It's the meditation of no big deal. No big deal. Okay? And that's the question, who am I? Are these thoughts? No big deal. No. And then the nature of the mind becomes, you know, like clouds moving away from the sun or the moon, sort of revealed. Now the thing is, you can see the cloud, it's just, I mean, you can see the moon, it's just obscured by these clouds of self, of ego, of desire, you know. But you can sense it's there, and that's why we come and do meditation, even if we feel like totally lost. The reason we do this practice at all is because there is some light behind that cloud. You know, all of us are aware of that when we sit, and that's the strength of the natural awareness that can come through even when it's totally obscured. So, and consciousness is a state of being. I mean, we're born with sentience, and the sentience is basically having mind, having consciousness. But so does an ant, right? So does a lizard. Yeah, but they don't have a very well-developed awareness that goes beyond their sense of like, I want to eat this fly. You know? And so the human, though, and that's why this human form is so important. And whether you believe that there's reincarnation or whatever, it doesn't matter. But the fact is that we can realize this clear awareness in a way no other form can, because they are so dealing with just their basic needs. Because we've evolved beyond our basic needs, we have the treasure of being able to open to this awareness. And that considering that and just taking that a little more seriously, how golden this opportunity is. Especially those of us sitting in this room who have the leisure and benefits of being able to practice and learn, and health and wealth to do that. Access to teaching, society, everything, freedom of society. And you could have all the health and money and everything, but if you're in a repressive place, then you wouldn't be able to find a group. So I mean, we have so many opportunities. And as humans in this time, year 2017, it's really quite remarkable. With everything going on, those of us in this room should take our opportunities seriously, because it's rare compared to all of history. And considering that can give us also a bit of energy in our practice. When you're feeling a little, discouraged because you're not where you want to be. And maybe if I was only born a Tibetan or something, well, they have pretty rough time too. So if I was only, in some monastery, then my practice would be less stronger. Well, maybe not. But we have pretty much what we need right now to become fully realized. Let's take advantage of this. That's what I encourage us. And that's why we come, and that's why this place exists. We do it in our own way. And trust that. Trust that you have your way. So, your way is not a monk's or nun's way. Maybe it will be if you want it to be, but that's up to you. But your way is your way. Okay? And, we're sharing a way here, and we come and we sit here. But there's also taking it sort of, even though I'm asking the question, who are you? But on the relative level, you are a person with your likes and dislikes. And so part of having a steady meditation practice is also like not only knowing who you are not, but knowing who you are. Okay, knowing who you are on the relative level and saying, okay, I'm going to do this practice, and I'm going to be able to sit this amount of time, and I can do 5 minutes, or I can do half an hour, or I can do whatever, and trusting yourself that you will keep that, and trusting your mind that you can do it. So there is that trust and that sense of personal responsibility as well, and that's an important part. And everybody's practice is going to be different, but make it yours, and then you'll be able to keep it better. Don't compare yourself to others. Right? Compare yourself to yourself. And then forget about it. Yeah.
You gave an example a few minutes ago for playing with the phone as a distraction. The question is, how do you distinguish between a distraction to a concentration activity? For example, doing sports. Watching a movie, can that be a meditative activity?
No, of course. It's all about what your chosen focus is, and then the distraction is when your mind leaves that focus. Okay, that's the distraction aspect. is, you know, did I choose this, or am I just kind of reactively going towards it because of my patterns and my habits? You know, so if actually, you know, you choose the movie, you buy the tickets, or you choose it at home and whatever, and it's like a conscious choice, right? But while you're watching the movie, you hear a beep on your phone, and you're like looking at the emails and what have you. It's not, wait a second, that's just my habit, you know, my mind is being pulled, you know? So did I choose to do that, or is it proactive or reactive, right? So if it's reactive, meaning there's not a strong element of choice there, then it's a distraction. But if it's a conscious choice, now I'm going to pause the movie and check my emails. then okay, I mean, then you're making a choice and you're focused on that, right? So it's all about, you know, aware choice. And then we're living a conscious life in the same way, like doing conscious breathing. I have a lot more suggestions, but not for tonight. There's just too many suggestions, and you know what? You just do what you do, and then do more. That's the final suggestion. Do what you do, and then do more. So let's finish with a minute to come back to the silence.